Greetings, this is Russ Moody. This is part B of the Skaven Visual Tactica part 7, so it's 7b. And this is again continuing on with dirty tricks. And what I've got here is I've set up 2 hordes and then a chariot in the center. This could also be a monster like a hydra or anything, any super nasty monster that you don't necessarily want to deal with. And sitting across here, I've got a unit of slaves, and then a unit of rat ogres, and then my warlord with the fellblade on a rat ogre bone breaker. And then ideally, what you would actually have on this other side would be another unit of slaves or another big tar pit that you can just stop the other unit, and you'll see why in a second. But I just wanted to set up as few models as possible. So going in here, what he's done is he's moved to protect that chariot, or it could be a monster, something that he wants to get the charge off with, something where it's not good for it to be charged. So either it has impact hits, or some very some other rule. It could be for the new ogre book, it could be a thunder tusk or something like that. And so he positions like that, and the whole trick here, what makes this a dirty trick is that if you look at that rat ogre unit, it pretty much just looks like a unit of rat ogres, and it's very likely your opponent's going to forget that there's a warlord on a bone breaker with a fellblade in there. Now, what's going to happen is you're just going to kind of position a little bit, and they move forward again, and again still protecting that monster, keeping it from getting charged by that unit. And then this is where you spring your trap. And that solo character charges out, and he's got, like I said, he's got the fellblade. So if it's a monster, it's dead. As the warlord with the fellblade is going to have a higher initiative and strength 10 and d6 wounds. So and this is again, this is also something that you might see a dreadlord from the Dark Elves. This is also another is commonly pulled off. Similar, because they'll take that reverse ward save, and you just can't kill the guy, and he'll just tarp at something. And again, it really works in combination with anything, any character that's got a really good armor save, really or a ward save that you can't kill, or some other really nasty weapon, and you just kind of put him in the unit. Because what happens is your brain tends to think of units as being inseparable, but that's actually not the case. And so here, it gets in there, it kills it, and then you're able to then pick your next target right after combat. So, moving on, what I've got here is this is an Arachnarok that has got into a combat full of slaves. Or it could be something more valuable like clan rats, something that you might want to actually save. And what you're going to do here is this is a good example of, say it's a hydra or some other monster that fights really well, or maybe there's a lord that's mounted on a dragon or something, and you've got it in combat with your slaves. You don't want to put the doom wheel there is nasty enough that it's possibly just going to kill your doom wheel. And so what you're going to do with your doom wheel is you're going to act like you're going to charge in, but instead you just angle and you kind of move around behind. And the goal here is again to just take that extra turn to try and zap it with lightning, and then on the following turn go ahead and charge in with the doom wheel, and then again on your shooting phase you'll zap it again, and hopefully by now you've either killed it or gotten its wounds down to the point where the impact hits will finish it off and your doom wheel can come out unscathed. To finish up the Dirty Tricks Tactica, I'm going to talk a little bit about Skaven magic, and going back to the Suicide's Grace here. And my build on this is Power Stone, 3 extra Warp Stone tokens, and some Scalm. And the idea is what you're going to do is you're going to take all the Plague spells, and you want Wither and you want Plague. And you're going to wait for a round where you roll, say, a 9 or a 10 on the magic dice. And then you're going to take 1 or 2 dice from your pool, and then take your Power Stone and whatever Warp Stone you have to get up the rest of the dice, and roll 6 dice to get Wither off on a unit. And then what's going to happen is you'll miscast, you'll lose d6 from the pool, but you've still got like, 7, hopefully you got like around 7 dice left in your pool, so even if you roll a 6, there's still 1, and you've got enough left in there so that after the miscast, you can then take that other dice, eat the rest of your warpstone tokens, and hopefully you'll have enough dice to again take those 6 dice and throw 6 dice at Plague. And in between there, you drink your Scalm to get your wounds back up if you need to, so that he doesn't die on his second Irresistible Force turn casting of the game. And that's just the dirty trick of pretty much withering a unit down to say, like, if it's a huge unit of high elves, you lower them to toughness 2 and then cast Plague, because then you're going to kill 2/3 of the unit. There are other things you can do, but they more involve Warlock Engineer. So what I've got here next, this is showing. I don't know if it's necessarily a dirty trick, but I think it's something that people sometimes, especially myself, I tend to do this when I've got slaves. And one of the greatest assets of slaves is that it's an asset that they explode. I think they did it to make them worse, but in effect it actually only makes them better. Because one of the things that you can do, and your opponent is really not going to be aware of this. So you push your tar pit of slaves forward, and then while that unit is being tar pitted, you position all of your heavy hitters. And this is one of those things. This is why some Skaven players like to run the 20 block of slaves, because it just gets charged, holds the unit up, and explodes. Again, you can actually do this with any size of slaves, because what you can do is you can use that big tar pit, and he's going, oh, he's just going to tar pit me. Well, I've got to chop through this tar pit as fast as I can. And you're actually going to set your opponent up. So you move your units that you want to actually use to destroy the enemy, and then at the end of his turn, what you're going to do is you're going to combat reform to take away your rank bonuses. And so you would do this pretty much. You sit there. Usually he's going to charge in against your slaves, or you can go ahead and charge in. But what you want to do is you want to reform on his after your own combat phase, so that on his turn he beats combat and your slaves explode, so that he ends up just sitting there, and you just get to charge him with whatever you have lined up next. And so then not only do you get the extra casualties from the exploding slaves, and then you've got 2 or 3 units, hopefully one with a flank charge, and it all gets just rush in there, and since your slaves have now exploded, they're not going to be giving up combat res, so you can actually beat an opponent in combat that way, cause them to break and run. And then this here, touching on uses of Warlock Engineers. Hopefully everybody knows about this one, where you cast Skitter Leap to put your Warlock Engineer, or sometimes even a Grace onto the flank, so that he can cast a spell or fire the Doom Rocket or whatever nasty device he has, or off into the flank where pretty much he can't miss. Because as you see here, it stretches all this battle line stretches all the way across the board. It doesn't matter how many dice you roll on the Doom Rocket, you're going to hit something. So anyway, this was part B of the Skaven of 7B of the Skaven Visual Tactica. And talk to you guys later. Bye.